My name is Timothy Agoya-Kasia, a first-year MPhil Communication Design student of KNUST. Before I built anything, I was a teacher in Sakote, in the Upper East region. For one term, I faced over 80 learners in a single class. Even on a normal day, it was more than 45. Too few classrooms, too few desks, and not enough teaching and learning materials. And in that crowd, some children could read a paragraph, while others could not read their own names. Every teacher there carries 3 impossible tasks: planning lessons by hand in the right format, steals the hours you should spend resting. Diagnosing where 45 different learners actually are cannot be done with a pen, and building a differentiated lesson for every level at night is a luxury no tired teachers can sustain. So we teach to the middle, and the child at the back stays invisible. Class Pilot is a tool I wish I had had. It is a teaching assistant. The teacher stays in control, and Class Pilot does the heavy lifting. From a strand, sub-strand, content standard, and indicator, it drafts a full, correctly formatted lesson plan in minutes, and it runs a quick diagnosis that shows where learners are below, on, or above the average, and it turns into a differentiated lesson plan for each group, all still aligned to NACA curriculum. Plan, diagnose, differentiate. And for the child, the diagnostic feels like a game with points, streaks, and trophies that keeps even the shy learners taking part. It fits the classroom are actually taught in, when there is no tablet for every child. The diagnostics run on the teacher's own phone, and it can work offline. Everything Class Pilot produces is shown to the teacher to review and edit first. That is exactly what NACA asks of teaching materials, that they support, not replace the trained teacher. Ghana is already bringing AI into our senior high schools. Class Pilot carries the same vision into the foundation years, from kindergarten to basic 9, where the gap begins. It is built on the national curriculum. Tomorrow in Sakote, one teacher will again face a classroom of 45 or more. Class Pilot cannot build her a classroom, but it can give her back her evenings, and a real way to reach every child in that crowd. Let us give every basic school teacher in Ghana that time and that reach back. My name is Timothy Agoya-Kasia, and this is Class Pilot. Thank you.
I'm Benjamin Etonam Abuchi, a computer engineering student and the founder of Preps AI. Preps AI is an exam preparation tool that helps students prepare for exams by generating more questions from their study materials, that is, lecture slides, books, and notes. Preps AI is used by over 8,000 users across the country and generates over 10,000 questions during every exam period. To learn more about Preps AI, I'm inviting you to the E-Learning International Conference this week. Thank you.
My name is Osgood, a computer science student and co-founder of New Intelligence Tech Era. I am excited to tell you about our all-in-one AI study platform called FlowState. FlowState doesn't just help students study, but it makes them truly understand and master their material. It is built to take students through 5 phases of mastery, which is the understanding phase to understand your material first, the recall phase for memorization, the test phase to test yourself and then your knowledge, the application phase where you apply the knowledge you gained, and then the mastery phase where you truly master your material with 4 proven scientific steps. And the same phase also prepares you for exams. These phases are designed to take the learner through a clear study path that turns knowledge into understanding. With this platform, students can go beyond memorization and truly build the confidence they need to succeed in their exam and in their academic journey. FlowState brings everything a student needs to study all in one place, from staying organized, learning in groups, doing assignments, understanding your course, and many more. And the entire process feels like playing a game, where you level up and gain XPs and badges as you carry on with your sections. All this is designed to make learning feel smarter, easier, and much more effective. This is the complete study support system. This is FlowState. Thank you.
Excellence is not a destination, it is a journey of vision, innovation, and transformation. At KNUST, the pursuit of academic excellence has always been at the heart of our mission. But in a rapidly changing digital world, excellence alone is not enough. We must evolve, we must lead, we must move from excellence to eminence. This is the story of KNUST's digital evolution.
From March 2020, something happened, and I'm sure a lot of you remember the famous fellow Ghanaians. The fellow Ghanaians was synonymous with COVID-19. The university issued the usual green letter, and normally when you see the green letter, you know that there's something that has to be done, an important information that has to be read. And so we read that message, and the university was on shutdown. And e-learning had to step in. The e-learning, by that time, e-learning was being handled at the distant learning unit, of course. And I remember contributions of Dr. Osei. In fact, he actually was the person that led the EJUAD discussion. And so all of us, at this particular point in time in March 2020, Professor Ahmed Ejapon, he was the deputy director of distance learning. And I remember the university tasking a committee to look at migrating all the programs onto the university virtual class. Quickly, the migration of courses from all the various departments were done. And that was where e-learning across the campus was done holistically. Trainings were done, led by Professor Ahmed Ejapon again. All the university faculty members were trained into delivering online. The students were trained, certificates were issued. In fact, the certificates were signed by the Vice Chancellor herself. Before then, during the COVID phase, I remember the contributions of the then Vice Chancellor in the COVID phase was Professor Obridan. So he was there during the COVID phase, and therefore he had to help us move into this phase that we didn't know. But then what saved us was that during Professor William Otu's earliest time, studios had been constructed for the distant learning, about 3 studios, and there were other things that they were doing to support e-learning at the distant learning. Therefore, it was easy for us to move on.
When I look back at the journey of the KNUST E-Learning Center, I see a story of vision, resilience, innovation, and passion for transformation. I had the privilege of serving this university as the foundation director of the E-Learning Center from the year 2021 to 2025. And I can say in all humility that what we see today did not happen just by chance. Like many institutions around the world, our story began during the COVID-19 pandemic. And if you recall, overnight, universities had to rethink how teaching and learning could continue. And for many institutions, it was simply about surviving the crisis. But KNUST's story is different. Our leadership saw something bigger. They saw an opportunity to transform the way we educate our students, the way we teach, and the way we learn, and even practice administration. And one of the greatest strengths we had throughout the journey of the pandemic was the forward-thinking leadership of the management of our prestigious university, particularly the solid support of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Rita Kosia-Dixon, together with the Pro-Vice Chancellors at the time, the registrars, the provosts, and all members of management that Professor Dixon worked with at the time. They understood the digital transformation agenda. They got it that it wasn't just a temporary response to COVID, They saw it as the future of higher education. And that conviction gave us, those who were implementing it, the confidence to move beyond emergency remote pedagogy to building a sustainable system that could serve the university for many years to come. Our Vice Chancellor had a vision, the digitalization agenda. The digitalization agenda, which we all bought into, became the foundation upon which the E-Learning Center was built. Every major initiative we took at the time aligned with the vision of making KNUST truly a future-ready university, equipped with digital competencies and ability. And together, we moved from simply supporting online classes through the Institute of Distance Learning, IDL, to building comprehensive digital learning ecosystem that can support the entire university and every constituency that we operate. And one of the things that I am particularly proud of is the university's investment in infrastructure. We established 23 world-class multimedia production studios, instructional design facilities, virtual reality, and virtual classroom support systems, computer-based examination resources, a fully equipped podcast studio, and even the immersive learning and pedagogy spaces. But infrastructure alone does not transform education. People do. And that is why capacity building became one of our greatest priorities. We trained hundreds of lecturers in instructional design, in online facilitation, in digital assessment, in effective use of educational technologies for teaching, for learning.
As a person with disability, my experience at KNUST has shown me what true digital inclusion looks like. There are certain physical barriers that I face, such as using the computer mouse. Yet, I have never felt excluded in the university digital learning environment. The E-Learning Center has been accessible and convenient to me and my other colleagues.
When I got admitted as an economics student in KNUST, I thought life on campus was going to be very difficult because I'll have to carry textbooks and big bags around whenever I have a class. But because of the learning management system, I'm able to access slides, videos, and quizzes on the virtual class, which has made my academic flow very, very comfortable on campus. And I remember there was one time where I had to rush to campus to submit an assignment. But because of the learning management system, I'm able to submit an assignment on the virtual class with a click of a button. Anytime I have a quiz, I no longer have to panic because there is an auto-save system which saves my work anytime there are challenges.
At the KNUST E-Learning Center, innovation meets education, which creates a truly modern learning experience. By leveraging cutting-edge digital technology, the center redefines how teaching and learning takes place. At the heart of this transformation is the Learning Management System, that's the LMS. This is a digital platform that enables lecturers to organize courses, deliver lecture materials, engage with students, administer assessment, and monitor learning progress, all in one place. Now, the center also features an immersive learning and pedagogy unit, which is equipped with the virtual reality technology. Here, the learners step beyond the traditional classroom into realistic, simulated environments that makes learning more interactive. Whether developing practical skills or exploring complex concepts, the VR provides hands-on experience in a safe and a controlled setting. Now, content creation is equally at the forefront. The E-Learning Center boasts of over 20 state-of-the-art teaching studios designed to support both synchronous and asynchronous teaching. Now, the studio enables educators to produce high-quality digital learning content that reaches students wherever they are. It has the examination and proctoring assessment unit and a dedicated podcast studio. These are all specialized facilities that continues to expand the possibilities of technology-enhanced teaching.
As a leading science and technology university, we will be contributing our quota to the wealth of edtech solutions in the world by utilizing cutting-edge solutions and technologies from artificial intelligence, virtual and augmented reality to produce African-centric edtech solutions that solve our peculiar problems. Through our e-learning practice and research journal, we intend to become one of the leading voices in digital education scholarship in Africa and beyond. None of these things that I have mentioned will mean anything if we do not share it. Our digital equity and inclusion strategy will place devices and subsidized data in the hands of students that global platforms typically overlook. And we will build learning systems that will work even where connectivity fails. Access to knowledge will never depend on your location in moving forward. We are building a pipeline of micro-credentials, professional certifications, and executive education, working with industry leaders so that our graduates do not simply hold degrees. They will hold skills that market is waiting for. And we intend to do this not only for KNUST, but for the entire African region by establishing a West African training hub and sharing what we learn with every institution that is prepared to learn alongside us. This university carries the name of a man who believed that Africa's freedom would mean little if it did not also mean self-reliance, that is, the ability to build, to teach, and lead on its own terms. The knot of wisdom, as we've already said, is untied only by the wise. As KNUST, we believe that it is our sacred responsibility of leading the transformation of education on the continent through digital transformation of the systems in place. We know that achieving this will mean deliberate decisions to do the unthinkable and imagine the unimaginable to prepare for the future which is uncertain. We will no longer react, but prepare. To our partners, this is an invitation.
Good morning,
not to watch
distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, and the KNUST E-Learning Center, I would like to welcome you to the 2026 E-Learning Awareness Week and International Conference, ELIC 2026. Now, throughout this week, we have explored the theme harnessing AI and emerging digital technologies to advance inclusive, equitable, and ethical learning ecosystems. It has been a remarkable journey of learning, innovation, collaboration, and reflection, bringing together educators, researchers, students, and partners across the world to explore the future of education. Now, today we celebrate the knowledge shared and the partnership forged and the ideas that will continue to shape the future of education. My name is Emmanuel Kwesi-Debra, and I'll be your compere for this plenary session. So, I would invite the chaplain is not here. So I invite Darlington Akomase to lead us in the opening prayer. Darlington, you have the floor.
All right. Good morning. Can we please be on our feet? Okay. Can we please close our eyes? So, Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you for such a great morning. We thank you for health, for life, for breath. We thank you for bringing us from our respective homes. We thank you for this gathering. We thank you, sweet Holy Spirit, for your presence. We thank you that everything we are coming to do here is going to be a success. We thank you for this great institution. We thank you for the professors, for the lecturers, everyone here. Thank you. We pray thee into this evening's event, into even next year's event. We thank you that the knowledge shared will be part of that, and then it will impact many. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Darlington, for this prayer. Now, it's important that we refresh our memories on the conference day one, and to do this is Dr. Mrs. Ama Brago Kantanka Jima, Chief Rapporteur. Please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can I have the slides shown, please? Technical team. Yes, so we are here to have a quick recap of the engagement so far, especially with respect to the e-learning conference, which started yesterday. Before I go on, I would like to acknowledge the chairperson for this morning's session, the Deputy Commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Brigadier General Zibrim Bawa Ayorogo. I also like to acknowledge the presence of the Pro-VC, Professor David Asamoah, and also our partner in the presence of Dr. Anne Nelson. I also like to acknowledge the presence of the director of the e-learning center, the chair of the planning committee, and the head of department of the Department of Architecture. Convocation present, planning committee, students, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to have a quick recap of our session from yesterday. And this is just to help us understand what we have been engaging with so far. I believe that it has been a day where great minds have been converged under one umbrella to share great inspiration under the theme of our conference, which is harnessing AI and emerging digital technologies to advance an inclusive, equitable, and ethical learning ecosystem. Our conference received over 220 abstracts and accepted more than 120 oral and poster contributions, which were delivered across 5 parallel tracks, which are AI and governance, digital equity and inclusion, pedagogical innovation, micro-credential and life learning. Well, now there was a homegrown retrieval augmented generation system built to make Ghana's 1,940 volume parliamentary Hansard searchable and trustworthy. This is a working demonstration that African institutions can build AI systems accountable to local, legal, and evidentiary standards, rather than importing tools built for other contexts. Now, one of the critical, we can move the slide now. One of the critical digital findings, that is the second finding, is that digital equity is inseparable from physical and spatial equity. And this is a striking and somewhat unexpected finding, driven substantially by contributions from the built environment discipline, which was largely championed by academics from the architecture department. Can we give architecture a round of applause for representing well? And the finding is that digital divide in Ghana is frequently a built environment divide first. Research on urban informal sector workers found that all respondents owned a smartphone, yet only 1 in 10 had ever used a computer. And spatial insecurity alone cost them 15 to 30% of income. This means any digital inclusion strategy for this group must begin with mobile-first design and secure physical space, not with software. Parallel work on basic school learning environments identified poor spatial and technological readiness as a direct barrier to e-learning and STEM education, and accessibility barriers facing learners with disability and the design of sensory inclusive facilities for autistic children. Taken together, these findings reframe digital equity. It is not solved by distributing devices or licenses alone, but connectivity, safe and adequate space and design that accounts for disability and informality are preconditions and not side issues. The last and critical finding was that AI truly improves learning outcomes, but this occurs conditionally, which means that AI works conditionally, and it is conditioned on the people behind it. The pedagogical innovation track offered converging and encouraging evidence that AI-supported instruction can really improve outcomes. Several presentations noted that these gains depend on curriculum assessment, alignment, on institutional readiness, and repeatedly on teacher confidence and competence. A study on mathematical teacher found a measurable divergence between self-efficacy and actual problem-solving ability, a caution against assuming tools alone will close learning gaps. Now, faculty and institutional capacity was found to be the binding constraint, which KNUST's own example has truly exemplified. Now, in KNUST, it has its own Tier 3 data center, 22 gigabyte per second campus bandwidth, over 3,000 Wi-Fi access points, more than 10,000 online examination sessions delivered every academic year, and over 4,000 laptops placed with financially disadvantaged students through the SONSO initiative. In addition to a mandatory AI literacy course for every undergraduate and postgraduate, regardless of the program. This is indeed a true investment which KNUST has exemplified with support from the MasterCard Foundation e-learning initiative and the University Design Institute of Arizona State University. I believe our university deserves a round of applause for taking the lead. Now, what are the impacts of the findings or the evidences that were collated from yesterday's session? Now, for learners, what the impacts are is that every day that the liability and data protection gaps remain, learners who overwhelmingly lack a direct contract with AI developers carry a risk that institutions and governments are best placed to close. For national policy, positioning education in national AI strategy mainly on workforce supply without operational details on teachers, assessment, and inclusion risks the strategy under delivering on its own promise and risk. Now, for higher education sector, KNUST results, examination scale, device equity, mandatory AI literacy, industry, academics constitute a testable and a replicable model, which all should exemplify. Now, for development commitment, the findings map directly to the Sustainable Development Goals. And so we found Sustainable Development Goal 4 shining out with quality education emerging, and then SDG 10, reduce inequalities, SDG 16, accountable institution. And so for impact, it was found that this is not an academic exercise. It is an evidence base that already answers questions national policy is still asking. What should we do next? What are the actionable directives? These are recommendations and actionable directives that came out of yesterday's session. So the first one is to close the governance gap. And this, we said that a launch of a national AI education task force will be in the right place, recommended directly for policy analysis research. Again, to legislate for the learner, not just for strategy. And for this, we are saying that fast-track clear liability and data protection provisions for educational AI through emerging technology bills and institutional procurement standards are required. Additionally, a recommendation that came was to treat connectivity, safe space, and disability inclusion, particularly for basic schools, rural communities, and informal sectors, not as an afterthought to the device or software rollout. Again, it was recommended to extend KNUST's mandatory AI literacy course, industry academy model, and MasterCard Foundation-style capacity partnership to other tertiary and TVET institutions with government and industry co-investment. Lastly, the recommendation was to commit to being accountable to this room and for an agreement to report back, hopefully to the E-Learning International Conference 2027, so that this conversation will not remain just mere recommendations, but something that can be tracked and something that we can ensure that they are really integrated and applied and followed on. And so, ladies and gentlemen, like the first president whose name this university carries said, we face neither east or west, we face forward. This conference has not simply repeated this statement. Across 5 tracks and more than 120 presentations, it has produced a specific evidence-based account of what facing forward requires: closing legal gaps before they cause harm, building physical spaces alongside digital assets, investing in teachers as seriously as in tools, and trusting African researchers to build the system this continent will rely on. The rapporteur team commends this record to the closing plenary and to every partner, government, industry, and institution in this hall. All our accountability to the future, we hope that these directives and recommendations will be tracked as we convene at the next International E-Learning Conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brago. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on the transformative role of artificial intelligence in education, it is equally important to consider the values that must guide its development and application. Our next speaker will deliver a special address on the theme, The Future We Choose, Artificial Intelligence, Human Values, and the Next Generation. Permit me to read the profile of our next speaker. Now, Brigadier General Zebrin Bawa Ayorogo is a Deputy Commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. He has over 30 years of distinguished service in Ghana Armed Forces with a strong background in infantry and military police work. Now, before his current appointment, he served as the Commissioner of the Customs Division at the Ghana Revenue Authority. Throughout his career in Ghana Armed Forces, he has held key leadership roles, including Provost Marshal, Director of Administration at the Army Headquarters, Director of Inspections and Monitoring at the Inspector General's Department at the General Headquarters, and Commanding Officer of the Ghana Military Police. Additionally, he held several other important positions, including Deputy Director of the Civilian Establishment, Deputy Director of the Investigations and Anti-Corruption, and the Head of Investigations at the Special Investigation Branch of the Ghana Military Police. Now, he was instrumental in investigations and anti-corruption efforts and participated in major missions with the UN in Liberia, Lebanon, Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, Somalia, Congo, among others. Beyond military duties, he serves as a lead resource person in security management, industrial security and forensic investigations at the both University of Ghana Business School and Wisconsin International University College, and contributes to curriculum development and training of civilian protection. Now, he maintains an active membership in several professional organizations in Ghana and internationally. He's an alumnus of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, American Military University, George C. Marshall European Center for Security Studies, a member of IASIS International, a life member of the United States Army Military Police Association, and an associate member of the Nigerian Institute of Management, Chartered. He holds Masters in Security Management from the American Military University and a Master's degree in International Affairs and Defense Studies from the Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna, a Bachelor of Laws, LLB degree from Mount Crest University College, and a bachelor's degree in psychology and political science from the University of Ghana. Now, he is a board-certified security professional and holds 3 globally recognized credentials awarded by the American Society for Industrial Security, International Certified Protection Professional, First Coast Security Professional, and Professional Certified Investigator. Now, these certifications reflect his expertise in corporate and industrial security, investigations, and risk management. As Deputy Commandant, Brigadier General Yorogo supports KIPTC's mission of advancing peace, security, and stability in Africa through training, research, policy engagement, and strategic partnerships. Now, with a round of applause to give the special address on the future we choose, artificial intelligence, human values, and the next generation of learning ecosystems. Please, let's welcome Brigadier General Zibrim Bawa Ayorogo. Please.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it's an honor for me to be here once again. Last year, by the will of God, I was here. I also find myself here this year. And anytime I come to tech, we call it tech. And we call it tech. We don't have any other name. We call it tech. This is our dream university. We're growing up. Indeed, last year I said that I was here in 1991, seeking for admission as a student of mathematics. Indeed, that's what I wanted to do on earth, nothing. But as destiny will have it, I found myself wearing this uniform. And everything changed. So I'm here back again, so I'm home. For the younger generation, please, the message is work hard. There's so much out there, so much. What has been achieved is less than 0.0001%. What has been achieved? What we see on this earth, with all these issues of artificial intelligence, if you have to wake up those who died within the 17th century, the period of industrial revolution, they thought they were the best. They thought they were the best. Indeed, they were the best at the time. Today, we think we are the best. I can assure you that in the next 100 years, if we are up on this earth, we will think that we have never existed. That is why I'm telling you that where we are coming from, I'm an old man now, let me put it that way. Yes, the future is in your hands. Once a student, do not play around. I can't be a student like you. I will just flew straight to the space. So please have energy. Do not waste time. Learn. And the future is already in your hands. Thank you very much. This is what brings me here. The reading of the speech is just secondary, just to give you encouragement that once you are here, you are at the threshold. You're just flying. So don't joke with the professors. You may have some professors being difficult. Yes, that is nature. You may have some professors being accommodating. That is nature. You can have all of them being on the same line, which have the difficult ones, which have those who sympathize with you. At the end of the day, you'll be shaped and conditioned to become a better professor. A better professor, I put it that way. So that is the message I have. Sitting, looking at you with my professors in front, I can't refuse to say this. Please listen to my message. Do not play. And I say, do not play. The future is in your hands. If you want money, it is here. And the money starts here. Once you are well educated, especially my female daughters, let me qualify it that way, you don't have a problem. I mean, somebody will say, why is this man saying? Why is this man saying? You need this education first. Yeah, I know somebody will say, oh, no, you need to marry. Okay, no problem. Once you are working, in our time, our wives were housewives. Today, no. Nobody wants a housewife. You have to bring something on board. A friend told me that it is only in West Africa that the male provides for the house. In other parts of Africa, the male brings, the female brings. So when it's the end of the month, you bring yours, I bring mine, we combine to take care of the house. Fortunately, is it unfortunate? Which one? I don't know. In Africa or in Ghana, is a man who provides, whether the wife is working or not. Whether the wife is a professor, let me go that way. Whether the wife is a professor, the husband must provide. Unless otherwise, the lady agrees to say, okay, I'll pardon you. I hope it's clear. I like this message than what I'm going to read anyway, but we're here for a purpose. So permit me to say what brought me here, not what I want to tell you. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The chairperson, the rep of the vice president of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Tech, please acknowledge everybody here. Everybody here is important. Distinguished members of the planning committee, without them we will not be here. Heads of universities and educational institutions, colleagues from across Africa and beyond, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. The professor should not be saying morning out here, then you are, no, that's not fair. You know, military will like shouting, not it. It is one of the things where you behave like a mad person sometimes. When you see the soldier shouting, it is part of the training, otherwise you can't go to war. Eh? So good morning. Thank you very much. Now we can start the business. It is a privilege and an honor to join you at this year's E-Learning International Conference. On behalf of the Commandant, and the entire Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, I extend our sincere appreciation to the Vice Chancellor, the University Management, the Planning Committee, for the kind invitation extended to Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. We are delighted to be part of this important gathering, which brings together educators, researchers, policymakers, innovators, committed to shaping the future of learning. The theme of this conference, harnessing AI and emerging digital technologies to advance inclusive, equitable, and ethical learning ecosystem, could not be more relevant. It invites us to look beyond technology itself and to reflect on how we can ensure that innovation serves humanity, expands opportunity, and strengthens our educational system. Although Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center is widely recognized for its work in peacemaking, conflict prevention, and security studies, our experience has continually shown us that peace, education, and technology are closely connected. They seek to empower people, strengthen institutions, and create societies that are more resilient and inclusive. Today, therefore, the question before us is not simply how artificial intelligence will change education. The more important question is how we will shape artificial intelligence so that it will reflect our values, respond to our realities, and serve the needs of all learners. A name and what it asks of us. At the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, we have the privilege of serving at an institution that bears the name of one of Ghana's most distinguished sons, called Kofi Annan. I think he was a past student here. Was he a past student here? Wow, no answer? I want to hear a big yes. Yes, please say yes. Don't let the prophet. Yes, indeed, people travel all over the world to come and look at where he sleeps, where he's lying. It tells you how important Kofi Annan has been to the world, not to Ghana or not to Africa. Yes. His legacy reminds us that progress has little meaning unless it advances human dignity. Throughout his life, he challenged the international community to ensure that development was inclusive and that the benefit of globalization reached everyone rather than a few privileged. His message remains just as relevant today as it was then. Artificial intelligence presents itself with a similar responsibility. AI does not enter our classroom as a neutral tool. It arrives carrying the assumptions, languages, data, priorities of those who created it. If left entirely to market forces or technological advancement alone, it will not automatically meet the needs of every learner. It will reflect the priorities embedded within its design, whether it serves a learner in the rural community, a refugee seeking education, a student learning in Twi, Ewe, Dagbani, or any other African language. It depends on the choice we make today. The future of artificial intelligence in education is therefore not predetermined. It will be shaped by our collective commitment to inclusion, fairness, and human dignity, a word from our own experience. These reflections are not based on theory alone. They are informed by our own experience at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Since launching our e-learning programs in 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the center has developed a growing portfolio of online courses covering areas such as election observation, mental health, and psychosocial support, security sector reform, and other peace and security-related subjects. These programs have trained more than 5,000 participants across Africa and beyond. We are also expanding digital learning across our academic programs in conflict resolution, gender equality, and preventing violent extremism, while strengthening our digital learning innovation unit as part of the center's 2024 to 2028 strategic plan. Our experience has taught us an important lesson. Technology alone does not guarantee meaningful learning. As we expand our reach across the continent, we encountered differences in infrastructure, digital literacy, connectivity, language, and learning context. We quickly realized that effective digital learning requires more than simply making content available online. It requires thoughtful instructional design, accessibility, contextual relevance, and a deep understanding of the learners seek to serve, what the learners seek to serve. The safeguard we have developed to improve quality, accessibility, and learner engagement are, in many respects, the very same considerations that should guide our approach to artificial intelligence in education. Our journey has demonstrated that African institutions are not merely recipients of digital innovation. We are contributors to it. We are building solutions, learning from experience, and demonstrating that innovation grounded in local realities can create meaningful and lasting impact. The promise we should not underestimate. Ladies and gentlemen, as we consider the opportunities before us, it is important that we approach artificial intelligence with optimism and responsibility. I am not here to caution against artificial intelligence. Neither am I here to suggest that we should slow the pace of innovation. The potential of AI is undeniable. And if applied responsibly, it has the capacity to transform education in many ways we should have imagined a decade ago. For the first time, we have technologies capable of adapting learning to the pace, ability, and needs of individual learners on a scale that no single educator could achieve alone. Artificial intelligence can provide personalized learning experiences for students who have never had access to individual support. It can help bridge language barriers through transition in multiple languages. It can identify learners who are struggling long before they become dropout. It can support educators with better insight, reduce administrative burdens, and allow them to devote more time to teaching, mentoring, and inspiring their students. These are not distant possibilities. They are realities that are already beginning to reshape education across the world. Institutions such as KNUST and the centers such as the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center are well positioned to contribute to this transformation, and not merely as users of technologies, but as institutions that help how we are developed, applied, and governed within our own context. For this reason, I do not ask that we should slow down our pace, slow down out of fear. Instead, I encourage us to ask the more difficult questions. The greatest risk is not what artificial intelligence will fail to transform education. I say it again. The greatest risk is not that artificial intelligence will fail to transform education. The greatest risk is that it will transform education unevenly, leaving some communities far behind while others move ahead. That is a future none of us should be prepared to accept. For risk, we must not build by accident. As we embrace artificial intelligence, there are 4 important risks that deserve our collective attention. The first is exclusion, disguised as progress. An e-learning ecosystem developed primarily from the data, language, and educational assumption of only a few countries will inevitably reflect those perspectives. However complex such systems may become, they cannot truly be described as inclusive if they fail to represent the realities of learners across Africa. Inclusion is about how far internet connectivity. It also means representation in the data we use, the systems we design, and the decision we make. The second risk concerns human rights. Every intelligent learning platform collects information about learners. It observes how they read, how they respond, how they perform. Used responsibly, this information can improve learning outcome. Used irresponsibly can also become a tool for profiling, discrimination, limiting opportunities before learners have had the chance to realize their full potential. As educational institutions, we have a responsibility to ensure that innovation never comes at the expense of our privacy, dignity, or individual rights. The third risk is the widening of existing inequalities. Institutions with greater financial resources and stronger technological capacity will naturally adopt artificial intelligence more quickly than those with fewer resources. Unless government, universities, and development partners invest deliberately in infrastructure, educated capacity, and digital inclusion, artificial intelligence will unintentionally deepen the educational inequalities that we have spent decades working to reduce. There is also a fourth risk, one that deserves equal attention. Africa must not become merely a testing ground for technologies designed elsewhere. There is a significant difference between participating in innovation and simply validating someone's innovation. A continent with more than 1 million people, extraordinary linguistic diversity, and one of the youngest populations in the world should help shape the future of artificial intelligence from the very beginning. We should not simply contribute data that improves systems developed elsewhere. We should contribute ideas. We should contribute research. We should contribute innovation. Most importantly, we should contribute leadership. Human values as the architecture, not the afterthought. Fortunately, we're not beginning this journey without guidance. UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence adopted in 2021 already provides an important framework for ensuring that artificial intelligence serves humanity rather than the other way around. It reminds us of the importance of human oversight, data protection, accountability, and the preservation of cultural and linguistic diversity. The challenge before us is no longer whether such principles exist. The challenge is translating them into institutional policies, procurement decisions, governance framework, everyday practice within our own universities and training institutions. None of this suggests that we should retreat from artificial intelligence. On the contrary, it suggests that we should govern it with the same care and responsibility we apply to everyday technology capable of shaping society. Our experience at Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center has taught us that values cannot be added at the end of a project. It must be embedded from the beginning. The same principle applies to artificial intelligence. An educational ecosystem built without ethics, inclusion, respect for human rights is simply an imperfect system. It is a system that has lost sight of its own purpose. As we design the next generation of digital learning ecosystem, 4 values should remain at the center of every decision we make. First, human dignity. Every learner must always be recognized as a person, not merely as part of data. Second, cultural diversity. African languages, knowledge system, and educational tradition should be recognized as strengths that enrich artificial intelligence rather than obstacles that technology should overcome. Third, inclusion. We must continuously ask whether our innovations are reaching learners with disabilities, those living in remote communities, those with limited connectivity, and those whose educational opportunities remain uncertain. Finally, shared governance. The future of artificial intelligence education should not be determined by technology companies alone. It should be shaped through genuine collaboration among governments, educators, researchers, students, civil society, development partners, and the private sector. Only through such partnership can we ensure that artificial intelligence reflects our shared values and our shared aspiration for the future of education, the future we choose. Allow me to conclude here where I began. Kofi Annan often reminded the world that today's challenges do not exist in isolation. They cut across borders, sectors, and institutions. They reflect cooperation, shared responsibility, and thoughtful leadership. The same is true of artificial intelligence. The decision we make today in our classrooms, universities, training institutions will help shape far more than educational outcomes. It will influence the kind of society we build, the opportunities available to future generations, and the values that guide the use of technology for years to come. The title of this address is The Future We Choose. It is an appropriate title because it reminds us that future is not something that simply happens to us. It is something that we create through decisions we make today. The future of digital learning will not be determined solely by advances in technology. It will be determined by values we choose to uphold. It will be determined by the policies we adopt. It will be determined by the partnerships we build. Most importantly, it will be determined by whether we place people at the center of innovation. The next generation of e-learning ecosystem will emerge whether we are ready or not. The question is whether artificial intelligence will become part of that education. The question is whether it will reflect African realities, African priorities, African aspirations. Will our institution help shape these technologies? Will we simply adopt a system designed without voices? Will human dignity guide innovation from the beginning? Or will attempt to restore it after the unintended consequences have emerged? Will our rich cultural and linguistic diversity be recognized as a strength, or will it be overlooked in the pursuit of efficiency? These are the choices before us. None of us can make it alone. They will be reflected in the many decisions our institutions make every day. They will be reflected in the technologies we procure. They will be reflected in the policy we develop. They will be reflected in our research, the research we undertake. They will be reflected in the curriculum we design. They will be reflected in the partnership we establish. Every one of those decisions contribute to the future we are building. I therefore encourage every institution represented here to regard this conference not simply as an opportunity for discussion, but also as a start point for meaningful action. Let us leave here determined to translate our conversation into practical outcomes. Let us continue strengthening collaboration among universities, government, development partners, technology innovators, and civil society. Let us ensure that ethical considerations remain central to every technological decision we make today. Above all, let us commit ourselves to building learning ecosystems that are inclusive, equitable, and responsive to diverse realities of our continent. On our part, the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center remains committed to advancing responsible digital learning across Africa. We look forward to strengthening our collaboration with KNUST, with the universities and institutions across the continent as we continue to share knowledge, develop innovative learning solutions, and promote the ethical application of artificial intelligence in education and professional learning. The challenges before us are significant, but so too are the opportunities. Africa possesses extraordinary talent. We have innovative institutions, we have committed educators, we have creative young people. Most importantly, we have the opportunity to shape our own future. If we remain guided by human dignity, inclusion, collaboration, responsible leadership, I have every confidence that Africa will not simply participate in the future of digital education. We will help define it. Ladies and gentlemen, the future we choose begins with the decision we make today. May we choose wisely. Thank you for the attention.
Brigadier General Azubim, thank you so much for this wonderful address. So, ladies and gentlemen, our next session brings us the perspective of an organization that has transformed the lives of thousands of young people by expanding access to quality education, particularly for girls and young women across Africa, Comfort Ghana. So permit me to read the profile of our next speaker, Mr. Jonathan Kotey. Mr. Jonathan Kotey has worked in ICT 4D in Ghana since 2009, starting as a volunteer IT instructor with the University of Ghana ICT Directorate, where he built basic digital skills among semi-literate junior staff using local case studies and language. Now, he has spent over 12 years with Comfort Ghana, where he now serves as IT manager, leading a portfolio spanning operational IT, program embedded project leadership, and AI and digital strategy, with work extending across Comfort's 6-country Africa operation. Now, he is the architect of Comfort's Mobile Learning Lab MLL program, which pairs offline Rachel Plus service with near-peer learner guides to bring digital education to rural schools, a model recognized by UNESCO's Institute for Information Technologies in Education as a case study in gender transformative ICT integration and presented at the E-Learning Africa 2026. Now, beyond the MLL, Jonathan designs and builds digital systems that strengthens NGO operations, from payment approval workflows and program data tools to training resources for teachers and field staff. His approach combines technical delivery with capacity building, ensuring that the people who use these systems, that is teachers, learner guides, program teams, can sustain them long after deployment. Now, he continues to engage policymakers on ICT in education and rise publicly on Ghanaian tech policy, digital inclusion, and AI strategy. His writing draws on nearly 2 decades of field experience across Ghana and West Africa, including early cross-border ICT deployment work in Côte d'Ivoire. He remains guided by conviction that ICT works best in rural communities when local people lead its planning, implementation, and use. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause for Mr. Jonathan Kotey, IT Manager, Comfort Ghana, to speak on leveraging near peers to drive sustainable rural edtech integration in Ghana. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I think we can ride on Brigadier General's good morning, the energy he came, and respond to my good morning with some energy. Good morning, everyone. All right, I think the energy is getting higher. Thank you. So my name is Jonathan. I work with Comfort. Like the bio said, Comfort provides education opportunities for young women. We've been doing this in rural parts of the country. We joined this program from Wednesday, and we've heard quite a lot about AI and the foundation in AI and all the investments and strategies being deployed. But I must say that beyond all the LLMs and the compute power and then the data centers and all that, there are areas in Ghana that the advancement of AI has actually excluded from the digital space. And like Brigadier General was saying in his presentation, I kept on nodding when he started touching on inclusivity and that if we don't design to include other people, the gap is going to become wider and wider. And so my presentation this morning is on the Mobile Learning Lab project. This program has been running for 5 years now, primarily in areas where Comfort works. Comfort works in 44 districts across the country. We work with thousands of junior high schools and then 84 senior high schools. So the Mobile Learning Lab project, the Mobile Learning Lab project started as a result of, like was rightly mentioned, when COVID-19 started, the direct response from the stakeholders in education was that we should do online learning. And for us at Comfort, we knew what that meant because we operate in areas where students had no access to technology. We operated in areas where in a whole school, you could have the only digital tool in the school is the smartphone of one of the teachers who has an interest in technology. We operated in areas where you could have power cut for almost 2 weeks out of the 4 weeks in a month. And so we knew the implications of that directive from the stakeholders in education. And so we decided to design the Mobile Learning Lab project. We knew anything online would not work in the areas we work in. We knew anything that relied on consistent supply of power was not going to work in the areas we work in. The Mobile Learning Lab this year is the 4th phase of the project. We have the phase 1, we had the phase 2, we had the phase 3, and then this year we are running the phase 4 of the project. In our assessment of the schools we work in, the first phase we ran it in just 7 schools because we wanted to be sure of what we were doing with the schools we were designing this program for. Out of the 7 schools, 0 had internet access when we did the baseline. The average ratio of learners to computers at the GHS level was 34 students to 1 device. And by device, even for schools that had computers, most of them either were outdated, so some were using Windows XP. Some of you will know Windows XP. Some were using Windows Windows 7 and all that. Some had software that were so much outdated. 75% of JHS learners had never used the internet in our baseline. This is the reality of the solution we were designing in the areas we found ourselves. Next slide, okay, thank you. behind the numbers, what is the human context? So we appreciated that any intervention that ignores these realities will fail. Like I said earlier on, these are areas that could have power for just 2 weeks out of the 4 weeks in the month. And I'm talking of areas in districts in the Northeast, in the Savannah, in the northern parts of the country, Upper East, Upper West, and all that. I've touched on the erratic power supply. We were running this project in schools where you had heads of institutions who were skeptical about the use of technology in their schools. I could cite a typical example. So in one of the schools we wanted to work with, we went in there, we demonstrated the solution to the head of the school. We told them the benefits that the solution was going to bring. And the head's first reaction was that, number one, back then the GES has no policy on mobile technology in the school. And then number two, his first experience with technology was that a child was using it to watch pornography and was asked to come and advise the child against pornography, which means that for him, anything that has to do with technology brings a lot of problems to his already full plate of problems. And so he was not all in for the introduction of technology in education. We had teachers who were trained on chalkboards, teachers who were trained in those days where we didn't have technology. And now we're trying to bring technology in the classroom, but we expected the teachers to lead the integration of these technologies in the classroom. And the first indication you get from the teachers is that these children easily adapt to technology, and so they are more confident in the use of technology than the teachers we are asking to lead these innovations in the school. And so for them, it was a no-no for them. If we had another solution that would require they taking a step back for the students to self-learn, they were all in. But if they needed to play a critical role in integration, then they were not all in. We also had students who were coming from homes where their introduction to technology was for either watching videos online or playing games on phones or for any other entertainment purposes. And now we wanted to precondition them to say that technology can be used to advance your education. And so these were the realities around the project. Next slide, please. Now, the mobile learning lab model. We deployed two complementary elements to bridge the gap between the hardware complexities I mentioned earlier on, and then getting that to translate into genuine transformation. Like Brigadier General rightly said, bringing technology in education does not automatically transform or translate into advancement or improvement in education. And our baseline and our assessment rightly revealed that. Like I said, in the areas we worked in, the reality was quite complex. We needed to bridge the gap between the complexities around the human factor and then the realities around the lack of investment in infrastructure in those areas. And so we came up with an offline solution, number one. Offline mainly because the areas we work in, people want to eat. And that's the reality. People need to make money to feed themselves first. And so anything that would require recurrent internet costs was a no-no. We tried internet in the past. Initially, there's excitement. Initially, people are excited about the solution being brought in. Then you tell them you need to pay a token to sustain access to these solutions. And then now they take a decision between buying the next ball of kinky or buying 1 gigabyte worth of data to access content online, and they are always going to choose a ball of kinky over internet data. And so offline solution was the way to go for us. We deployed 10 Rachel's Plus servers. If you come to our stand at the back, you'd see you'd see that solution. And it works fully offline. And so we've downloaded full versions of content from the internet. We've downloaded websites from the internet, and we've deployed them in these schools. Once the students connect to these solutions, they browse fully like they are browsing the internet, but then the content on these devices are restricted to educational content. For the 2023 edition, we scaled to 7 STEM-focused schools. 2025, we did 51 schools in total. Now, to bridge the gap between technology and translating this into impact in education, we deployed young women who have lived in the communities, have faced these barriers I mentioned earlier on, have on their own found ways of addressing these challenges. And we call them the learner guides. Learner guides mainly because they guide students on their learning journey. They are relatable. They are almost of the same age as the students we are trying to serve. And so we deployed them in these schools together with the technology we deployed in the schools. Now, the role the learner guides played in the project was beyond the technology. How do you reach out to students who had peculiar challenges? We noticed that if we deploy the technology in the school, typically you would have, in the typical senior high school classroom, you'd have those who easily want to adopt technology, those who have some experience in technology, those who have heard of technology, but were encountering it for the first time, but because of their excitement, would want to jump at the solution. We noticed that just putting these solutions in the classroom, in a way, was going to exclude some learners who, for one reason or the other, would not want to touch technology. One of the things that surprised us when we started this project was that students were anxious about holding a tablet. You go to a school and a student would not want to receive a tablet for a session, and their first response is that the cost of this tablet is more than their household income. And so if the device breaks down, they are not in a position to pay. And so one of the first things we decided to do when the learner guides get to the school was to break that technology anxiety. So for the first few days, the learner guides go through a process where every student handles a tablet for the first time. Every student turns on the tablet. It might look basic for everyone in this room, but these are the realities of some parts of the country. You would have students receive the tablet, and you actually tell them where the power button is located, how to even move their fingers on the screen to tap on certain sections of the screen. Last year, one of our interventions is the tertiary program, where we give out some laptops to students from rural parts of the country who had gained admission to tertiary institutions. And during the program, one of the participants indicated that that was the first time she was holding a laptop in her hand. And I want to bring this here mainly because, yes, Prof and the team are doing a great job. We've had some side conversations and all that. But the reality is that if we ignore the reality in some parts of the country, the gap becomes wider and wider and wider. And so it is important that we become aware that, yes, as we build these solutions, as we try to advance e-learning, as we try to advance AI in education and bridge the digital divide and all that, we also look beyond what we term as our foundation. For KNUST, the foundation may be all the investments you are making here. But for other parts of the country, the foundation may be getting digital tools in the hands of people in the communities. The foundation may be as basic as getting consistent power supply in some parts of the country. Next slide, please. So after five years of growth, phase by phase. So in the first year, we were able to reach 4,628 students across our partner schools. In the second phase, we reached 2,321. And then in the third phase, we were able to reach 3,316. For phase 1, 37 schools across 5 regions, 9 districts. The target was to reach 3,000 students. One of the first challenges we had was that when we rolled out the first phase, we had neighboring schools to our program schools reaching out to the Nella guys to say that we've heard of what you're doing in school A. Can you bring it to school B? We've heard of what you are doing in school B. Can you bring it to school C? And so the learner guides are volunteers, but they ended up moving from school to school throughout the week. For phase 2, we decided to do less number of schools, mainly because we realized that because the program was rotating from school to school every week, contact hours with the devices was significantly reduced in the phase 1 of the project. For phase 3, we did 8 schools. The focus was on STEM, and we had 70 to 74% participation of girls in the program. Next slide, please. So for phase 1, what was the reach, attendance, and then the engagement? So 90% average session attendance rate. I can share a typical case we had in one of the communities we ran the program. So the learner guide, one of the learner guides indicated that on days where they had mobile learning lab sessions, attendance peaked in the school. So students were excited about coming to school. These are communities where, when it's in the farming seasons, parents would want their children to help on the farms. These are in communities where a parent who has been told education is important and so has allowed his sons to be in school, but then because he has a farm to work on or he has some cows to take care of, he would want to rotate his sons going to school. So in day 1, the first son goes to school, the others don't go to school, they help on the farm. Day 2, the second son goes to school, the others help on the farm. And he is ticking both boxes because his children are going to school, but then his children are also helping him on the farm. And the learner guys indicated that on days where they had MLL sessions, you would have almost all such children coming to school because they would have the opportunity to engage with these devices and with technology. For phase 1 as well, we had 86.7% girls attendance as compared to 81% for boys. And 53% of the attendees were girls. 43% of teachers also reported improved reading fluency. One of the challenges in the rural areas also is that because monitoring is very, very poor, teachers are posted to these locations and either they don't show up consistently or when they show up, they do their side things as against showing up in the classroom. And in our end-line assessment, one of the things that came out was that there was improved reading fluency among students because the technology allowed students to self-learn how to read by the use of technology. Next slide, please. Phase 2, in 2023, there was a significant leap in digital skills. And so from the baseline as against the end line, digital device use for STEM or academic work increased from 22 to 93. And then also digital presentation skills also increased from 16 to 63. And for the phase 2, all teachers reported improved BEC results linked to the program. In one of the junior high schools we visited, the ICT teacher indicated that for the first time in almost 10 years or whatsoever, they registered for ICT, number one. Then number two, they had one in science in the BECA, and it's not happened in the history of the school. And they attributed this to the quality of contents that were on the devices and the practicality of the sessions. Okay, thank you. And the practicality of the sessions, the content that was on the devices. Next slide, please. Phase 3. There were significant gains across 4 dimensions. School device access increased from 53% to 83%. School internet access increased from 40 to 82%. So, critically, for some schools that could make some investment in internet access, but due to 1 or 2 reasons, decided not to. As a result of the project, they started asking themselves, so what happens if we want content beyond what you have put on the ritual? Because we demonstrated that through the use of technology, they can get access to quality content. Now, PTAs started asking questions. Beyond what you have put on these devices for us, what do we do if we want more content? And so the next step of the conversation was that if they invest in internet across the schools, then students get access to content beyond what we have put on the ritual. And we noticed some schools taking the initiative on their own to invest in internet access across their schools as a result of the project in the school. Practical competencies. So creating presentations also increased from 63% to 87%. And then transferring files from one device to another also increased. At the baseline was 55%. At the end line was 71%. Frequency of use. At the baseline, 15% indicated they have never used the internet. That's reduced to 5% at the end line of phase 3 of the project. And then tablets used for internet increased from 17% to 64%. The last metric over there is purposeful engagement. And remember, I indicated earlier on that in some households, students are introduced to technology through entertainment. Okay, thank you. Students are introduced to technology through entertainment. At the baseline, we noticed that for some students, email use was around 29%. That moved up to 67%. For social networking, for the baseline, students indicated, 52% of them indicated they were using technology mainly for the TikToks and then the Instagram and the Snapchat and all that. That dipped or reduced to 39% at the end line. This indicated that students were now seeing purposeful uses of technology instead of all the games and then the social media that they use them for. Next slide, please. In 2025, UNESCO Institute for IT in Education featured the Mobile Learning Lab as a case study in the guide for educators to support gender transformative ICT integration in education in the Global South. It was a study that was conducted, and they felt that the approach and the strategy for implementation, thank you, for implementation, okay. Thank you. The strategy was a good case study as a best practice for education that works in areas with challenging contexts. In a school, in the Mobile Learning Lab program, one of the teachers said, the students' grades have improved in the just ended BEC, and some of them even won awards. So in one of the schools, one of the students won an award as the best in the Pandai district. One of the students won an award as the best student in science in the BEC. In another school, a student indicated that I can now use my mother's phone to search for anything I need. Previously, it was just for playing games and for watching videos and all that. But as a result of the program, now she could use the device to search for information. Next slide, please. So what are our recommendations from the experience and from the knowledge we've gained from running the Mobile Learning Lab project? Number one, we are recommending that the government formalizes the near peer role. That is critical because these young women have lived experiences in the areas we run the program. They understand the challenging context in there. They've solved the problems themselves. They've been able to come up with solutions. And so it is important that as we deploy technologies in these areas, as we advocate for e-learning in education, as we make a lot of interactions around the deployment of ICT in education, it is important that we put in the human factor of people who have lived the experience in these areas. They understand the context better than those bringing the solutions. It is important that we co-create these solutions with them instead of creating their solution for them. Number two, integrating the Mobile Learning Lab into timetables in schools. In schools that had significant impact from the project, what we observed was that there was a slot on the timetable for Mobile Learning Lab. And it is because for most schools, they have still not transitioned from seeing ICT as a separate industry to seeing ICT as a tool to advance education. And it is one of the challenges we've had in most of the schools. The project has not worked too well. Where when schools see ICT or the project as a tool to advance education, they put a slot on the timetable. And that ensures that teachers and students together or jointly run these sessions, and we see significant gains in education outcomes in these schools. Number three, prioritize junior high school infrastructure. The foundation, unfortunately for us, the foundation is not at the tertiary level. The foundation is even not at the senior high school level. The foundation goes lower than the senior high school level. The foundation is at the basic education level, which is the junior high school level. And so some investments in technology at the junior high school level is critical if we want to see some long-term gains in e-learning across the country. Number four, fund near-peer facilitation. It is important that as we get these young people to go into the schools to support e-learning in these schools, it is important that we resource them with some working tools to enable them move to these schools to run and support these sessions. It is important because, like I indicated, in rural parts of the country, people will take a decision between a ball of kenkey and internet data. And so when they need to take that decision, they are always going to choose a ball of kenkey over internet data. And so if we are not intentional about funding young people going into the schools to support these initiatives, the initiatives will not be able to be sustained in these schools. Number five, designing for inclusion. Designing for inclusion. So sensitizing and incentivizing so all students see mobile learning lab or digital tools in education as relevant. Unfortunately, in some schools, the leadership of the school themselves have not transitioned from seeing ICT as a separate area from education. So you'd have a head of institution ask that if you tell them you are in IT, the first question they are going to ask you is, oh, my phone has a problem. Can you fix my phone for me? And it's a typical question someone who has not really made that transition. In the past, when you say you are into IT, the first question they will ask you is, do you fix computers? Because that was what IT was in those days. It's important that the E-Learning Center, KNUST, takes this upon themselves to do some sensitization across the country, not just in areas where it's easy to see some gains, but in areas that have also been left behind. Initiatives like this in rural Ghana is very expensive. And it's expensive, and so not a lot of people want to put money in there. Not a lot of people want to go in there because you would put a lot of resources, but you would have very few numbers to count. For example, in one of our communities, one of the metrics we were measuring was how many devices were breaking down. It is because if the devices are breaking down, it is an indication to a certain extent that the devices are being used. But in areas where people are already used to technology, such a metric I'm not sure would be significant for you. And so if you want to invest in an area like this, you may not want to go in there because some devices will break in the initial stages. And that is the reality. The last one, build regional exchange. There is a lot of work being done in the e-learning space across the country. And I must commend the E-Learning Center of the KNUST. Maybe you can put a hand together for them. For leading this. I was having a conversation with Prof when I came in earlier on. And then also when we met at the E-Learning Africa conference. And I was asking, why don't we do something like this in Ghana? Because there's a lot of work being done in the e-learning space, but we need a leader to bring all the work being done in the space together so that we can have one direction of travel. And it is important and it is commendable that the E-Learning Center has decided to lead that. And this is the fifth edition of the conference. And so I believe that as we do this over time, almost every initiative being done in the e-learning space across the country will move in the same direction, and then we can see some significant gains. Next slide, please. Foundations before AI. Access comes first. An inclusive, equitable, ethical learning ecosystem needs this layer before AI tools can work. What AI-enabled learning assumes? A connected device in every learner's hands. So there's that assumption that AI-enabled learning assumes that every student either has access to a device or has access to a shared device. And that also, there's reliable power and internet at school and at home. And then also, teachers are confident enough to guide AI-assisted lessons. What is the rural reality? Like I mentioned earlier on, 0 of 7 baseline schools had internet access. Offline Rachel Plus service will close the connectivity gap. And then also near-peer learner guides build the confidence that AI tools assume. Next slide, please. So building inclusive, equitable, ethical ecosystem. The mobile learning lab model is not a theoretical proposition. It is documented, evaluated, and is replicable. We started with a few schools. We learned from the mistakes and from the lessons from the first phase. we scaled, and then we scaled again. This year, we are doing it jointly with Sendlos, leveraging the government Smart Schools Initiative. The government Smart Schools Initiative is giving tablets to almost every senior high student in the country. That's a conversation for another time. But we, in our partner schools, what we are doing is that tablets have already been invested in by the government. And so we are investing in giving them access to these devices with content from Sendlos, the Ghana Learning TV content. We've worked with Sendlos to provide those content for us. We've put them on these devices, and we've deployed them in these schools for students to get access to this content. The challenge now is, how do we ensure that every senior high school in the country has access to these solutions? We are in discussion with Sendlos. The Sendlos iBox, which works just like our Rachel Plus devices, we are in conversations with them to see if we could have these devices across the rest of our 84 partner schools. And then we can see how we could take this up to all senior high schools in the country. I would want to end with this. Someone once said, don't be fooled by averages. Averages hide the child that is further down the line. Design for her first, and if it works for her, it will work for everyone. Students in areas with these challenging contexts, once a solution works for them, you are sure that it's going to work for every child in Ghana. Thank you very much.
This is Jonathan Kote, IT Manager for Comfort Ghana. Another round of applause for him. So we've come to a very important juncture at this august occasion, and is a Student Innovation Showcase, the EdTech Spotlight. And the first to do this is Timothy Aguya Akusaya Akasia, MPhil Communication Design Year 1, and he's presenting on Class Pillar, Zemasi, and Learner Visibility Platform. Now, with a round of applause, let's welcome Timothy Aguya Akasia.
My education, it makes me learn more. I hope it will continue for many years so that my colleagues and my siblings will also engage in it.
Mobile Learning Lab sessions are delivered by Comfort-trained learner facilitators. These young women were once supported by Comfort to go to school and now give back to their communities by volunteering in the schools they once attended.
The Mobile Learning Lab has helped me build my technical skills and confidence, help the students outreach to me through me serving as a mentor and a guide to the students. The Mobile Learning Lab also helped the students to improve in their performances.
Mobile Learning Lab sessions are delivered by Comfort in partnership with the 60 Million Girls Foundation, uses tablets that connects to an offline server called Rachel. The Rachel device provides thousands of learning resources to help reinforce lessons learned in class. It also introduces students to technology for education.
The most important thing about the Mobile Learning Lab is that it uses technology in teaching, and it makes teaching and learning easier for the students and the teachers as well.
You can imagine students learning where there is no internet, where there is no electricity.
Before the introduction of the Mobile Learning Lab, some of my students didn't even know what a tablet is.
It helps the teachers to improve on their teaching skills. And they also learn and use technology in the classrooms. The students also feel free now, and they can use the ICT, the laptops, and the technology in their various classes.
Working with the mobile learning lab has improved my technical skills a lot because I have now found a way of navigating through tablets, even though I used not to have one, but now I know how to use the tablet to do so many things. With the help of the virtual device, working with it makes learning easy and simple for me as well as the students.
The students are able to research on topic before learning, and teachers are also able to upload content of learning before teaching and learning takes place in the classroom. Through my outreach to students, the mobile learning lab has helped them improve on their performances and their attendance in classrooms. Every student wants to be there before session, and no student wants to miss any session regarding the mobile learning lab.
Because of the mobile learning lab, it makes my learning easier, and I can do anything I want to do on the tablet, and I know everything about it. I can search for information, do anything I want.
They actively participate in learning in class, and it has made learning very interesting. And the facilitators also support the teachers to deliver their lessons in the STEM subjects.
I hope to see the mobile learning lab project extended so other students can also benefit from it from other institutions that are not a beneficial from mobile learning lab projects. This will really help them boost on their confidence level and also explore using technological advancements.
The mobile learning lab has helped me improve my studies because I'm able to use the tablet to research topics that are yet to be taught in class. Engage with the mobile learning lab in my education to improve my technological skills. The mobile learning lab has helped me improve my academic performance. In the near future, I hope to be a mentor to girls out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And that was a documentary by Comfort Ghana. So we continue with our tech innovation student showcase. But before that, let me acknowledge some personalities missed. We have the Provost of the College of Art and Built Environment, Professor Christian Cranton, please. And Dr. Mrs. Esther White is a senior lecturer at the Department of Publishing Studies. Okay. All right, so we go to Timothy Aguya Akasia, MPhil Communication Design Year 1, and he's going to present on Class Pillar, Zamisi, and Learner Visibility Platform. Please, a round of applause for Timothy.
First year MPhil Communication Design student of KNUST. Before I built anything, I was a teacher in Sakote, in the Upper East region. For one term, I faced over 80 learners in a single class. Even on a normal day, it was more than 45. Too few classrooms, too few desks, and not enough teaching and learning materials. And in that crowd, some children could read a paragraph, while others could not read their own names. Every teacher there carries 3 impossible tasks: planning lessons by hand in the right format, steals the hours you should spend resting. Diagnosing where 45 different learners actually are cannot be done with a pen, and building a differentiated lesson for every level at night is a luxury no tired teachers can sustain. So we teach to the middle, and the child at the back stays invisible. Class Pillar is a tool I wish I had had. It is a teaching assistant. The teacher stays in control, and Class Pillar does the heavy lifting. From a strand, sub-strand, content standard and indicator, it drafts a full, correctly formatted lesson plan in minutes, and it runs a quick diagnosis that shows where learners are below, on, or above the average, and it turns into a differentiated lesson plan for each group, all still aligned to NACA curriculum. Plan, diagnose, differentiate. And for the child, the diagnostic feels like a game with points, streaks, and trophies that keeps even the shy learners taking part. It fits the classroom are actually taught in, when there is no tablet for every child. The diagnostics run on the teacher's own phone, and it can work offline. Everything Class Pillar produces is shown to the teacher to review and edit first. That is exactly what NACA asks of teaching materials. that they support, not replace the trained teacher. Ghana is already bringing AI into our senior high schools. Class Para carries the same vision into the foundation years, from kindergarten to basic 9, where the gap begins. It is built on the national curriculum. Tomorrow in Sakote, one teacher will again face a classroom of 45 or more. Class Para cannot build her a classroom, but good morning. Once again, I'm Timothy Agui-Akasia, MPhil Communication Design, in the Department of Communication Design, KNUST, Faculty of Arts, and College of Art and Built Environment. That's one of my videos on the Class Pillar app. And I'm so pleased that Mr. Jonathan spoke about the challenges in the rural area, in rural Ghana. Actually, the story you were saying was something I've actually experienced. Personally, I got access to a computer when I completed senior high school. And it was because I was interested in learning ICT, and I forced myself to learn. Now I'm building solutions. My next presentation is on the learner visibility platform. And this me in Sakoto Primary School, in the Nabdan district of the Upper East region. And in Sakote, I faced a lot of challenges, I've learned a lot, experiences and difficulties, but it has helped shape me. And one defining moment was during the COVID-19 pandemic. Schools were closed for almost 10 months. And when we resumed, there was this girl I had in my class. Her name was Rita. Rita did not come to school for 2 weeks. When we tried finding out what happened to Rita, we realized she was forced into marriage at the age of 14. Then we traced, with the help of my head teacher at the time, we traced, then we fought and brought her back. But after one term, she got pregnant, and that was all. We never saw her again. So what is wrong with this? Ghana has no single database for children that are out of school. A lot of children drop out of school, and we don't have a single database to find out whether this child, after dropping, the child has been enrolled in a different school or not. No one has that database. And about 20% of children between the ages of 6 to 11 are out of school in sub-Saharan Africa. We have 33% of you from 12 to 14 years are out of school again. Then we have, in Ghana, we have 20.8% of children have never attended school above the ages of 3. The opportunity that we had to solve this issue. UNICEF in 2025 brought about this startup challenge. It was the final startup challenge for 2025. And when I and my colleague, Mr. Dylan Abaka, saw this opportunity, then we said, why don't we create a solution to this problem? Then we applied, and with our experience, we applied and we won. And this startup challenge was supported by UNICEF, Quaker, and MEST. So we applied, went through the pitching process, and we won. And they gave us $5,000 to further develop the solution, and then pilot it, test it to find out if it works or not. So our task was to build a community-driven system and to detect children that are out of school and identify potential dropouts and monitor retention. So we went deep into our work. And the one question that we asked ourselves was, when a child drops out from school, who is the person who gets to know first, who detects? And we realized that it was someone that is closer to the child, someone within the community. Because sometimes it's even the parents that even force the child to drop out of school. As Mr. Jonathan said again, and there's this situation of children alternating in their chores. You know, on Monday, this person will come to school. Then Tuesday, his brother will be absent. When you ask why, he's taking care of cattle. Then on Wednesday, the other child will come again. So they have these roles, they alternate. And if they don't do that, they can't cater or they can't support the family. So that was the question we saw, the answer we saw, that those that identify the children that are out of school are those that are closer to them, those within the community. So we decided to source our information on out-of-school children from those that are within the community. So what we built a community reporting system, and with the help of the Link Community Development Program, there's an NGO that we sorted. There's an NGO that we got into contact to, and currently they did a project in the Posintree district. And we saw that there were people that could help us. There were people that could help us solve this issue because they have the experience. They'll be able to identify children that are out of school and train them. So we decided to build a system that will leverage the existing knowledge. As we all heard, we have to co-create. So we decided to build a system that built on the existing knowledge that the people have. Then after that, we built a multi-agency system. That's the complementary education agency that cater for children that are out of school. We have the social welfare that cater for children that have issues, child labor or forced into early marriages. Then we have the Ghana Education Service. And the Ghana Education Service, they are in charge of formal education. The complementary education agency, they are in charge of the children that are out of school. They are supposed to train those that are out of school, those that have been identified, then enroll them back into the formal education sector. Then we saw that if we are going to source our information from the community, not everyone there is literate. We have those that, even though they can use their smartphones, they can use their smartphones to record audios, WhatsApp audios, but they can't actually type a child's name, a child's age, and the details that we needed. So we decided to fine-tune a speech model, an AI model that we embedded into our solution. And with that model, the main language now is just Asante Tree. And all what the community member or unit committee member or facilitator has to do is just pick the app, then open where he's supposed to report, then choose the audio section. Then after choosing, he or she has 10 questions that he has to answer, and those 10 questions will give us answers, give us the data that we need. I have a short video demonstrating those 10 questions. And we also decided that not everybody is supposed to have access to all the data there. So we created a role-based dashboard. So each person has his or her dashboard. Okay, so this is our video on the 10 questions. It's just 45 seconds. I want you to hear the 10 questions that we asked each and every reporter and the answers that you're supposed to give to us.
Abofra no din de sɛn. Abofra no edi mfie sɛn. Ɔyɛ abarimaa anaasɛ ababaawa. Abofra no te he. N'awofoɔ anaa nea ɔhwɛ ne so no din de sɛn. Adɛn nti na abofra no nkɔ sukuu. Abofra no akɔ sukuu pɛn. Ebusua no pɛ sɛ abofra no kɔ sukuu. Sukuu a ɛbɛn abofra no fie no din de sɛn. Abofra no wɔ yareɛ anaa ɔhaw bi.
So those were the 10 questions that we asked. And when the answers are given to us in tree, our system will transcribe and translate it and feed us with that data. And we put that data into our database. So our piloting was in the Posintree district, and we have the honor of having stakeholders to support us during our piloting. It started on the 18th of May and ended just last week, Friday, on the 10th of July. And it was only 8 weeks. And as I said, we had the support of Link Community Development Facilitators. They actually did the groundwork for us. They collected all the data for us. And in all, we had only 8 people that fed us with the data. And our target was to identify 150 out-of-school children. And our stakeholders, we had the District Chief Executive of Posintree attending. We have the Regional Complementary Agency Regional Director attending. We had the UNICEF Ghana rep, that's Mr. Christopher Nkrumah. He attended our training program. We had the District Complementary Education Agency Director, Social Welfare Director, and reps from the Ghana Education Office within the Posintree district. So our results, after the piloting, we identified 156 out-of-school children. And we also identified 60 children that have the potential of dropping out of school. And we had 27 users, but all those are role-based. Those that did the actual work were 8. 8 community, link community development facilitators got the information and gave it to us. So our future, what is our future beyond this piloting? We plan on scaling this outside Bosuntwe, and we also plan on handing it over to the local governance system. The solution was actually built to be used or to align with our local governance system. We know within our local governance system, we have the unit committee, we have the assembly member, and that hierarchy. So we decided that if we want to create a solution that lasts, the solution must be embedded in what has already been established. And we know Ghana, we have the local governance. And we also have, one of our future plans is to also secure funding, and add multiple languages apart from Asante Twi. So thank you. This QR code takes you to our landing page where you can see all our data. And this is during the piloting. I am a partner, Mr. Dylan Harold Abaka. Thank you very much.
Timothy, thank you so much. So we invite Benjamin Etonam Abuchi, BSc Computer Engineering Year 4, and he's going to talk about Prep AI. And after Benjamin, Osgood Blessing Bwadi in BSc Computer Science Year 2 is going to talk about flow state. So Benjamin Etonam Abuchi, please a round of applause for him.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Benjamin Etonam Abuchi. I'm a computer engineering student. I'm a software engineer, machine learning engineer, and then also a product designer. I'm the founder of Preps AI and Pickup. Preps AI is an AI-powered tool to help students generate mocks and prepare for their examination. And then Pickup is a delivery service for small and medium-scale food vendors. Today, I'll be speaking about Preps AI and how Preps AI is making education personalized for students. Please, can you raise your hand if you've ever heard of Preps AI or you've used Preps AI? I want to see by hand those who have used Preps AI or have heard of Preps AI. All right, thank you. So the students know what Preps AI is. Okay, so Preps AI came out of an accident I had. So in February 2025, I received a call from my dad telling me a friend of mine who has been my friend for 5 years has passed away. And that was at the wrong time because the following week was my exams week. And throughout the semester, I was spending my time reading research papers, working on projects, trying to improve myself. So I didn't really have enough time to prepare for exams. And having that depression moment, I couldn't really focus so much. So I started thinking of how I could build a product that can help me prepare myself, examine myself before I actually take the actual exams. So I built Preps AI in about a day, and I was using it myself. My course rep came around, he's called Veron, and he was like, what are you doing? It's time for exams. Won't you learn? Like everyone is learning. You are always very unserious during exams because it's like, oh, I'm working on something to help me study fast. He says, okay, when I'm done, I just send him the link. I was building something for myself. I wasn't thinking of anyone. So I spent the next 24 hours putting it together, and then later I sent a link to my class group. I told him, and he sent it there. By morning, we have about 50 users using the app, and it started growing from there. So we built a system that helps you to test your knowledge before you actually take the actual exams. Now, so our solution uses generative AI to take all your study materials, your notes, your lecture slides, your books, and past questions, and then generates questions that are personalized for you based on what you have written in your notes. Now, the AI model is able to read and understand all your slides and then generate questions for you. You can upload your slide, it goes through, generates, and then you can test yourself in an exam condition environment. And then you can get explanation for questions that you've not performed on. Now, perhaps AI has the ability to generate questions with diagrams, mathematical question that is perfectly formatted in LaTeX. So for those who do research, they know what the LaTeX is. They're able to write it so it's very clean and it's formatted properly. Then it's also able to generate questions that are technically oriented, like coding, and then that's highlighted. So if you're someone who is into computer engineering or computer science and you want questions on coding, it's able to generate questions for you. And this is just a few of the things that perhaps AI can do. All right. Now, the growth of Preps AI. Preps AI started after the 50 users in the morning. Preps AI grew very continuously. In under 3 weeks, we had about 8,000 users using our products. Mind you, I didn't plan for this. So my exams week was very tough. I had 2,000 recurring users after the initial launch. And then every exam period, Preps AI generates about 500,000 questions for students. And then you will see that after all the students give testimonies of how Preps AI has helped them in their exams. So I'll show you a few of the testimonies they've given. I can't show you all because it's a lot. Okay, so this is just a few of the testimonies from students across Ghana. Isaac Owusu, thanks for such ideas. The sky is your limit. I'm a level 100 pharmacy student at Central University. I came across your link today on Facebook, and it's helping me right now. Any slides I put in gives me very tough examinable questions. Tomorrow I have a midterms to write. I'm happy it's giving me an idea of how the questions will be. And then another one, I went to write sociology, and some of the quizzes I had appeared. I forwarded the link to most of my friends. And so this is just a few of the many testimonies that students have given about Preps AI. Now, Preps AI wouldn't be possible without the amazing people who have worked hard to contribute to the progress of Preps AI. So it includes professors, senior lecturers, students, and then teaching assistants. I just want to say thank you to all of you for supporting Preps AI. All right. Now, Preps AI has also been awarded a Rising Innovation of the Year at TWIC 2025. And also, it has been I've been awarded the Most Innovative Student of the Year at Nooks Excellence Award 2025. Now, what is the vision and goal for Preps AI? We seek to bring Preps AI to every student across Ghana and Africa. So we want to start by partnering officially with KNUST to bring Preps AI into our learning systems so students can easily access Preps AI without having to go to an external service. It's integrated directly to where they can get their course materials, where they can get their time. Everything is there, and Preps AI is already integrated in there. So they don't have to stress about going to a different place. Then we plan to scale this across all Ghanaian universities and African universities, including senior high schools, where they have an offline server to generate questions for them and have AI assistant models that live right there for them. We are also focused on building the infrastructure so that we can do personalized learning at large scale across Africa. Yes. So in case you are interested in investing, partnering, or contributing to the growth of Preps AI, you can take my contact and then contact me and get more information about how we can make Preps AI better and make personalized learning good for everyone. Thank you. Thank you. before I go, I want to talk about pickup delivery before I go. So I mentioned that I also run a different service. So Pickup is a new app on campus that is trying to solve logistics for students. We take students don't have to now go and join queue every evening to buy food. So we have a delivery app where people can buy food, and then we have students who come also and pick the food and send it to them. So the people who are on their free time can take it. So we are creating job for students. We are also solving the need of students who are busy. Thank you very much.
Do we have all's good here? All's good in? All's good? Yes. The man is here. So please, with a warm applause, let's welcome all's good.
Hi everyone, my name is Osgood Blessing, a computer science student, co-founder and COO of New Intelligence Tech Era. I hope everybody is well. Okay, so we built FlowState. So FlowState is an AI study platform that is designed to take the learner through 5 stages of mastery. The first phase is the understanding phase to make sure you understand your material first. The second phase is the recall phase for you to memorize. The third stage is the test stage so that you can actually test yourself and your knowledge. The fourth phase is the application phase where you apply the knowledge that you gained. And then the fifth phase is the mastery. That makes sure that you have actually understand your material and it also prepares you for exams. Okay, so with me here is my team. This is the team behind FlowState. I want them to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Jerry, and I am the CEO of Night Era, which is responsible for FlowState. Thank you.
Nation hall after they finish writing their exams and then just go. It is very problematic because the CEOs out there, the companies out there are struggling because they come out and they do not have normal basic knowledge of whatever they learned. So now, where did FlowState come from? FlowState come from a very, very important company which my team and I created, and it is called NINT. That is the New Intelligence Tech Era, and our vision is to create the next era of tech as our population increase. You know that technology is always increasing. They are bringing new things, and Africa has to catch up. That is why NINT has come into existence. We basically do anything that makes Africa be in the books of technology. So you guys, pray for us to grow. Let's move on. So now, what are the problems we are trying to solve? Our first problem we are trying to solve is that most students lack personalized learning. That is, students learn in different paces. Some are slow learners, some are fast learners. Someone will go to the lecture hall, whatever the lecturer is saying, they grab it in an instant. Some people too, they have to go back and read and read. Sometimes you will read and you are tired, you feel like you are dumb, but it is not your fault. It is just the way your brain is wired. And you know what? FlowState has noted this problem, and we are here to solve it. Another problem is limited access to academic support. As I said, it's not everybody that is sharp. And you will be an umbrella. Some of us, we are just normal people. But at a point where we are all going to write the same exams and will be judged on the same basis, you have to meet up. And at this point, sometimes you don't have someone to teach you. You don't have someone to have your time to come to your aid and be like, oh, I want to teach you. FlowState noted that problem, and we are here to solve it. Another problem we noticed is that inefficient study methods. when it's time for examination, everybody wants to learn everything, and then they do it just anyhow. And you go to the exams, you thought you've learned everything, only for you to go there, and then you see blurry things in your mind. I say, you know the page, but you are not seeing what is there. You know that kind of feel. It's very painful, and it is not your fault again. It is your brain. Don't worry. Today we are putting all the blame on our brain. The last part is the difficulty preparing for examination. You see that pressure when you see the timetable for your end of semester. Now your heart, you now think about how you used to miss classes and all those things, even though it is bad. But Flow State says, even if you did that bad things, we are still here to help you study efficiently for your exams. And then the last part is educational challenges across Africa. As we said, Africa has to catch up to the increase in technology, and Flow States want Africa to be in the books of technology. So now, let's move on to what we bring you. First of all, we bring you an AI-powered learning. That's the normal learning you guys know. The AI tutor for instant assistant, smart notes, flashcards, and quizzes, personalized learning path. As he already said, it takes you through steps of mastery from the normal to the perfect. So when you go there, immediately you see the answer, you know what to write. And the second one is the immersive VR. Go to the cinemas and you want to watch a movie and you want to be part of the movie. Like when they are fighting, you want to feel like, yes, I'm part of the battlefield. That is what we are bringing. So right now, let's say you want to learn how they do surgery or something. Maybe you're a medical student. The VR is going to make you feel like you are part of the session. So you have the feel like, oh, so I'm also cutting someone's stomach. Like that feeling alone makes you happy that I'm in the learning field. Now, we are moving to smart exams preparation. Exams pressure is too tough. It can give you high blood pressure. Like you start to delete TikTok and a whole lot of things just because you want to prepare for learning, for the exams. But we're telling you that Flow State says that calm down, just chill. Put that slide in Flow State and we will help you get that A you want. The last one is a collaborate. Hey. Sorry. And okay, the technique I want to talk about is the Feynman technique. It's one of the very unique techniques we have in Flow State. So with Feynman technique, all you have to do is learn. Now when you are done, everything you say will know and the person is able to understand. It means that you have perfect understanding of the topic. So AI is going to play as dumb as it can be, and you teach it till it understands. Sometimes it could be very annoying if maybe you are not saying the thing to its understanding, but you have to make it understand. And the point where you make it understand, it means that you actually understand the concept. The last part is collaborative learning. So you see, sometimes you need study sessions and all those stuff. Now, Flow State is saying that you don't have to get up and go and stand in the hot sun and go and take a car from Kote to library. Right now, you have it at your disposal. You can have those things on Flow State. Now, let's move on. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay. Go to the statistics. This is how the UI looks like. This is when you open the Flow State. These are some of the features, and look at how it looks like. Yeah. Now let's move on to the statistics. Now this here is telling you the magic we do. So with this, we are telling you that when you use Flow State, there will be a 43% increase in understanding of topics using the Feynman technique opposed to the normal, traditional, memorize and go and write the exams. And also, when you use Flow State, you are going to have a 79% increase in academics and academic performance and grade. I know this is the most interesting part because, Charlie, the CWA is at stake, so you have to use Flow State. The last part is the time. Time is very important, and we are telling you that the time taken or spent on learning a particular topic will reduce drastically by 87%. Like, that means that you can do sharp examination practice, and that's all. You go and get your A, and your parents will be happy with you. So yes, so we are not just building an app, we are building the future of learning in Africa. But please, I would like you all to engage with me with this. When I say night, please say era. Okay, ninth. 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 Thank you very much.
I want to just summarize. So I just want to summarize everything that has been said. Yes, with 1 minute, please. I just want to talk about the vision of Flow State. So basically, we are planning on implementing the app into the high school and the tablets that have been given. The Flow State is not just an app; it's a system. So it's a system that can be embedded on mobile phones and other devices. And also we are looking to partner up with the university institutions so that the VR costs can be reduced for students to be able to afford it. So if the university could actually implement it as maybe in their colleges so that every student can be able to have access to it. And we are also looking for funding and partnership and sponsorship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And please, let's give it to them again. So our innovators will be at backstage. And you can engage them. Okay, all right. So thank you so much. So we would like to acknowledge our partners, Massacre Foundation E-Learning Initiative, IT Consortium, Comfort Ghana Institute of Distance Learning, KNUST, KNUST Libraries, the Kofi Annan Peace Keep-In Training Center, the SRC, the GRASAC, and we also have the Ghanaian Academy and Research Network, Garnet, and we have Kahan Company Limited, ProData, and MobMart Catering Services, Figlo, Multineck Enterprise. And we want to also acknowledge certain personalities in our midst. Dr. Mrs. Yasanto is a senior lecturer at the Department of Pharmaceutics. We have Dr. Veronica Sechiaje, is at the Department of Architecture. So I would invite the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He is going to speak on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Professor David Asamoah. Please, let's give it to him.
All right, good afternoon. I must say that I'm very much impressed about what our innovative students are coming up with. Let's give it a round of applause to them. This is how it starts, and you bear with me that if you have heard about Facebook and all the other people, they all started like this, and now they are commanding empires when it comes to business. And I think we would also want to thank our professors and lecturers that are also helping them to achieve that. And I'm so much enthused. One other thing that I wanted to find out is that I just sent a message to my son who is doing law here, whether he said about the prep AI. He said no. So my question is, how are we disseminating it for all the students on campus to make use of that? Prep AI and all night era. I mean, I think this is your immediate market. So find a way to go to the various faculties and let them know what you are doing. Let them use it, because this is where you can immediately get some feedback of the performance of your system, and then you can use it to enhance it. So please do that. Do that. It's very important. All right, so we will now quickly go through the closing remarks. The Deputy Commandant of the Kofi Annan Institutes Brigadier General Zibrim Bawa Ayorogo, the Registrar, Provost Deans, Directors, Deputy Registrars, HODs, members of convocation, partners, students, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. A few days ago, standing in the Great Hall, I told this gathering that KNUST made a decision, and let me make this point that this is actually our Vice Chancellor's speech. He's currently not around, and I'm standing in for her. So if you say a few days ago I stood here, it's not me, it's the Vice Chancellor's. It's the Vice Chancellor speaking. A few days ago, standing in this great hall, I told this gathering that KNUST made a decision after COVID-19 to treat digital education not as a temporary accommodation, but as a permanent transformation. I said that decision had produced results. Over the course of this week, you have seen the evidence of those results, not in a presentation I gave, but in the quality of the workshops, the depth of the conversations, and the seriousness with which students, staff, faculty, and partners have engaged with every session on this program. On Tuesday, we spoke about skill and equity in the same breath. We shared that KNUST now conducts over 100,000 online examination sessions per academic year, and that the nationwide nursing diploma terminal examinations are delivered online through our infrastructure annually. And we spoke with equal emphasis about Sonsol, support one needy student with one laptop, because we have learned that skill without equity is just sophistication for those who were already advantaged. More than 4,000 laptops have now been distributed to students who could not otherwise have participated in the digital learning environment we have built. That figure must keep growing, and the call to every partner present remains open. Join us in extending it. On Thursday, in the presence of the Honorable Minister of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, we went deeper into the infrastructure story. We spoke about our Tier 3 data center, built on a conviction that technology sovereignty is not optional for an institution of KNUST standard. We spoke about 22 gigabytes per second of bandwidth and more than 3,000 Wi-Fi access points deployed across this campus, largely through the transformational partnership with the MasterCard Foundation E-Learning initiative. We spoke about our Cisco, AWS, Oracle, Huawei, and ServiceNow academies, each providing free, globally recognized professional certifications to our students. And we made the case directly for government investments commensurate with the role of this university. And we made a case directly for government investment commensurate with the role of this university is playing in Ghana's digital and AI future. We are the first university in Ghana to introduce a mandatory AI course for every undergraduate and postgraduate students. We contributed to the development of the National artificial intelligence policy. We joined the 1 Million Coders program. KNUST has been very proactive about Ghana's digital transformation at every stage, and we ask that the support we receive reflects that. This conference has, I believe, added important intellectual depth to these institutional commitments. The research presented here on AI governance in African higher education, on the ethics of algorithm assessment, on learning data sovereignty, on mobile learning in underserved communities, will now return with delegates to universities, ministries, and organizations across the continent. What you do with it matters. KNUST will publish the proceedings of E-Elearning 2026, and we will be returning to this hall in the coming months to account for what we committed to do in this room. Let me say something that I mean deeply about the character of this week. KNUST is a student-centered institution. Every decision we have described this week, the examination infrastructure, the sensor laptops, the professional academies, the mandatory AI course, was made with students at the center. I am therefore particularly gratified that this week's program has witnessed tremendous and enthusiastic participation from both GRASAC and the SRC. When the Graduate Students Association and the Student Representative Council engage with an event of this nature at this level, it is a signal that students understand what is at stake in the digital transformation of their own education. That understanding is itself an outcome worth celebrating. The week has been genuinely full. We have run capacity buildings workshops for postgraduate students in AI-powered research tools, digital skills, and academic integrity. We have trained faculty in assessment design, blended pedagogy, and the responsible integration of AI in teaching. We have offered sessions for basic school teachers, non-teaching staff, and members of the general public. We have showcased student innovation, hosted live podcasts, and run a quiz competition that filled this hall with noise and energy in the middle of the working week. That breadth of engagement is not accidental. It is the deliberate program of an institution that understands that digital transformation cannot be siloed to one department or one type of learner. I must close with a word of sincere appreciation to the director of the KNUST E-Learning Center, Professor Emmanuel Kofi Akuwa. Let's give a clap to Let's also clap for Professor Daniel Dia, the chairman of the organizing committee. And of course, to all the members of the committee. Thank you. What you have delivered this week is exceptional, not just in logistics, but in vision. An event of this complexity, involving partners from across Africa and beyond, capacity building sessions running simultaneously across multiple venues, an international conference, an awards ceremony, and an entire week of purposeful public engagement, all executed to this standard, reflects leadership and team commitment of the highest order. Professor Akuwa, your team has made this university proud. To every delegate, facilitator, partner, and participants, you have contributed to something that will outlast this week. The conversations started here, the commitments made here, the partnerships deepened here. These are the real outputs of the ELIC 2026. Carry them back, act on them, and return next year ready to report what you built with them. On behalf of the management, staff, and students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, we want to say thank you. Travel safely. Ghana's digital future is in better hands today than it was on Monday. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pro-Vice Chancellor Professor David Asamoah. So we'd invite the registrar of the KNUST E-Learning Center, Mrs. Abigail Jammer Anderson, to give us a vote of thanks, please.
Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor, distinguished guests, speakers, partners, colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the KNUST E-Learning Center and the Planning Committee, I have the privilege of offering the vote of thanks as we bring the 2026 E-Learning Week and International Conference to a close. What a remarkable week it has been. From the Digital Foundations and Skills Day, workshops and tutorials, and the e-learning open day for KNUST Basic School pupils, to the Student E-Learning Experience Forum, Ghana EdTech Conversations podcast, and Tech Matters Quiz Competition, the week has been engaging and impactful. Congratulations to the College of Engineering for winning the quiz, and well done to all the participating teams. The International Conference has also provided a valuable platform for research, dialogue, and collaboration on AI. We are deeply grateful to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Rita Kusia-Dixon, for her leadership and support. We also thank the Pro-Vice Chancellor, the Registrar, University Management, and all university officials who contributed to the success of the program. We sincerely appreciate the Minister for Education, Honorable Haruna Idrusu, the Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, Honorable Samuel Nati George, the UNESCO representative, Mr. Edmond Mukala, Dr. Ann Nielsen of Arizona State University, and all our distinguished speakers. We also thank Brigadier General Zibrim Bawa Ayurugu, Deputy Commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, for this morning's thought-provoking special address. To all our speakers, panelists, moderators, researchers, presenters, facilitators, exhibitors, student innovators, and rapporteurs, thank you for enriching the week. Our sincere appreciation goes to the Director of the KNUST E-Learning Center, Professor Emmanuel Kofi Akobua, for his vision and leadership. We also thank the Planning Committee, chaired by Professor Daniel Yaudia, and the entire staff of the center for their hard work. We gratefully acknowledge the MasterCard Foundation E-Learning Initiative, Arizona State University, the Ghana EdTech Alliance, CAMFED Ghana, and all our partners, sponsors, and collaborating institutions. To our technical team and protocol officers, ushers, volunteers, media, and security personnel, thank you for your invaluable work behind the scenes. Finally, to our participants from Ghana and beyond, thank you for bringing this program to life. May we turn the ideas shared here into meaningful action within our institutions and communities. We look forward to welcoming you to the E-Learning Excellence Award dinner this evening. Thank you for making the 2026 KNUST E-Learning Week and International Conference a memorable success. We wish our guests safe journeys home. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Madam Abigail Jammer Anderson, thank you so much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude the ELEC 2026, we sincerely thank you for your participation and contributions throughout this inspiring week. May the knowledge gained here empower us to harness AI and emerging technologies responsibly for inclusive and ethical education. Please, shall we stand for prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for a successful conference. As we depart, grant us safe journeys, wisdom to apply what we've learnt, and blessings upon our institutions and nations. Amen. So thank you, and we look forward to this evening's E-Learning Excellence Awards dinner. We officially, what is it? So there's going to be a photo session, so please stay behind so that we take the photo. So my name is Emmanuel Kwesi-Debra, and I'll be in your compare for this event. Thank you very much. So after this photo, the Department of Architecture is also going to take photos. So please stay behind as we take the photo. So the Department of Architecture will follow, please. Please, all of you can join. All participants, please join.
Begins. It is built on the national curriculum. Tomorrow in Sakote, one teacher will again face a classroom of 45 or more. Class pilot cannot build her a classroom, but it can give her back her evenings and a real way to reach every child in that crowd. Let us give every basic school teacher in Ghana that time and that reach back. My name is Timothy Aguiakasia, and this is Class Pilot. Thank you.
I'm Benjamin Etanam Abuchi, a computer engineering student and the founder of Preps AI. Preps AI is an exam preparation tool that helps students prepare for exams by generating more questions from their study materials, that is, lecture slides, books, and notes. Preps AI is used by over 8,000 users across the country and generates over 10,000 questions during every exam period. To learn more about Preps AI, I'm inviting you to the E-Learning International Conference this week. Thank you.
An Excellence Awards tonight. Have a blessed day.
Master their material. It is built to take students through 5 phases of mastery, which is the understanding phase to understand your material first, the recall phase for memorization,